Hey everybody, it's Charlie and Nathan from Daily Motor, and today we've got this awesome beast, the 2021 Ram TRX, packing a 6.2 liter supercharged V8, 702 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque, made into one of the most capable trucks on the market. This thing has been a whole lot of fun. What have your initial thoughts been, Nathan?
Well, it's big, it's fast, it's loud, and it's big.
What do you think the best part of all those is? Because I would argue I almost like the noise more than I like the speed.
Yeah,
because a lot of things are fast these days, but not many things sound this mean.
Yeah, you can get a lot. You can get a Raptor that's big. You can get big trucks, but nothing that sounds quite as incredible and as obnoxious as this.
Yeah, when this thing grunts and growls, some of the sounds it makes are just absolutely awesome. And you can see just how well we've been using it. You might see other reviews out there with a nice clean TRX. They just washed it off by hand and everything. No. We have 3 layers of mud on this thing at this point, and that's the real color right there. And not smart of us, we did not bring any sort of napkins or towels or anything to clean our hands off trying to get it in out of it. But this is how a Rebel should be used. So Nathan and I are gonna go out, drive it around a bit. We've got a whole ton of other content on the TRX as well though. We've got a review at the dunes, Silver Lake sand dunes, jumping this thing around, having a great time. We actually did a highway fuel economy test with this where it got 14 miles per gallon, absolutely wonderful. And we did a review of the 19-speaker Harman Kardon audio system. So all those links will be in the description when they're all posted. But let's get this thing started up and get out on the road. Nathan, would you like to do the honors?
I would.
Look at these little lights under here. That's cool. Nice. I'm gonna do that one more time, but I'm gonna grab my quality mic.
Okay. Here, rev it up. Holy shit. That's the first time I stood behind it when it's revved.
I know. All right, so this will be actually what it sounds like, high quality binaural microphones from behind the TRX. Nuts. It's strange enough, I almost feel like it's too nice in here. I don't know if you've gotten that feeling at all, but you get in a Raptor, and I know you haven't had the chance to be in a Raptor, but it feels kind of raw, just like the outside of the truck. It feels inside as you're driving it, like the same sort of feel. This is super luxurious. You got Alcantara and good materials. Everything feels really nice leathers, cross stitching. So you almost feel bad, especially if you owned this, like thromping it off-road. But the Raptor kind of feels more like durable, rugged, like you just got big, hardy switches rather than nice, classy buttons. The Ram's done so great lately because it's practically a luxury vehicle. And that's an interesting thing being in this one. But let's go into Baja drive mode and get this thing a little more dirty. Ah! Windshield wipers, come on. Oh my gosh, we haven't had any press vehicle that I've been able to do that in yet. This is, I would say, the most capable high-speed off-roader that I've ever driven.
Even more than the Raptor?
Well, I've definitely never done anything like this in a Raptor. It's possible that it's probably just about as capable for any average person to do things like that in, but this thing definitely sounds better than the Raptor and is more juvenile fun, I'd say, than the Raptor. Feels a bit heavier and more cumbersome, but it's subtle. And it's nice being able to have the rear window open a little bit so you can hear all that melodious exhaust. Switch into sport mode. Now, you were down for the G63, right?
Yep.
Which exhaust note do you prefer? I would say this.
Yeah, I'd have to go with this too. The G63 just sounded a bit too artificial, like it was tuned so much.
It was perfect
to be obnoxious. It was perfect, but this just sounds so much more raw.
Yeah.
And like it's a traditional V8.
What I mean by perfect is like it was calculated. It was like the G63 planned, like, yes, every single shift is gonna sound like this and every throttle pull is gonna sound like this. This truck sounds different sometimes. Sometimes you'll get like a neat little blap, and you can just tell that it's more doing its best. And you just gotta, like, it's just having fun. This feels more raw. Oh, great, we get to follow a nice Subaru Forester on the highway. Interestingly, you hear the supercharger more when you're just chilling, like with the windows closed and stuff. When you have the windows open, you just hear all exhaust.
Yeah.
You really hear the supercharger. But it's pleasant hearing that supercharger whine.
Well, would you say it feels refined on the highway? Refined in the way that you feel removed from what's going on.
It's pretty isolated, but you hear a lot of noise. You hear the tires, you hear the exhaust, and it wanders a lot more than a standard Ram. You have to keep your hand much more paying attention on the steering wheel. But yeah, I mean, you just kind of settle in, watch your fuel drain away. Interior still just feels so nice. The steering wheel feels good, the leather feels good. This is nice.
This is actually like a aluminum mill plaque right here.
Yeah.
You got all this nice trim. Not really any cheap plastic anywhere.
I could easily see somebody buying this and having it for their weekend or even daily driver, if you had the money for it, play vehicle. People who a $100,000 car is no big deal. Absolutely. I will say it takes effort to drive. The steering is heavier than a Raptor, and it's just so big. Anyone who's daily driven like a 2500 truck or something would know it's just, whether you're pulling into a parking lot, near a driveway, everything takes more effort. You gotta press the gas harder, you gotta press the brakes harder and steer, and it's not a bad thing. If that's what you want, this is great for it, but compared to just running around like, say, in just like a 3.5 EcoBoost or even just a normal Hemi Ram, it's a big difference. At the end of the day, there's so many cars that have cool numbers or things to throw out on paper, but what's much more important, whether it's a car as small as a Miata or as large as something like this Ram TRX, what's important is how it makes you feel from behind the wheel. And this car is definitely up in the top 10. We just reviewed a Honda Accord recently. Very good car. Very nice to drive, more so again than it was on paper, but it'll be decently forgettable other than us just remembering, oh yeah, the Accord's a good car. This will stick with us as something that's just unique. There's really not anything like it. Obviously there's the Raptor, but that's one other vehicle in a sea of other trucks. Would you put this on a list of vehicles that you'd want to own someday, or is it more just like, it's cool, but not for me?
It's not for me.
Yeah.
A vehicle on my list is a Hellcat, Challenger Hellcat, but not this, because for a utility vehicle, I just want a normal, decently, like more efficient than this pickup truck, and that's easier to drive on a daily basis. But for this engine and this whole powertrain, and the Hellcat is awesome.
As weird as it is, I kind of agree. As much as I think this is cool, I don't have that like burning desire to own one. And I can't put a finger yet on why that is. But it's just, I don't know, it's not connecting with me that much.
I can.
Why is that?
It still feels like a big lumbery pickup truck. If I want a like a car for the weekends, I want it to be maybe as durable as a Chrysler product, but still decently fun to throw around some back roads, and yet still be able to cruise at over highway speeds comfortably. This cannot do that.
You're right.
It lumbers around, it's big, it's heavy, and it also doesn't have the same, I guess, sleekness factor that a Challenger has.
Yeah, that all pretty much hits it. Unless you have an off-road park in your backyard, or you go like dune running regularly, I can't really see too much reason to own this, or you just want to show off.
Yeah.
Which is probably why most people will buy them. You want to switch?
Sure.
You pointed out earlier this week, you said, I wish someone would make just like a performance sports truck rather than an off-road oriented performance truck. And I do think this interior would be more fitting if this thing were a little lower, had street tires, and performance shocks for sport driving. Then it would feel more appropriate to have a nice luxurious interior. But this, I almost feel bad getting inside it with dirty hands and dirty boots and things like that.
I get that, but one perspective is actually Ram's perspective. They're probably trying to shake the image of just throwing giant engines in cheap vehicles. They probably really want to like, hey, we can do nice things too. We can compete with, you know, the more higher end car companies.
Maybe you're right.
The other cool thing about this is I feel almost superior to the FedEx truck, and I'm behind it. I'm like, get out of my way. I probably look like such a moron right now, though. And it's kind of the fun of it.
Yeah, this truck does make you feel like you want to just do irresponsible things. Like, oh, there's a median in the way? Meh. I'll just go over it.
One little downside to a big off-roader like this is trying to squeeze through narrow paths.
Yep.
You almost, at this point, it'd be cool to have a Colorado ZR2 or a Defender that's just a little bit tinier.
Yep. Or a Wrangler. The fact that you can get a vehicle that can do that with a warranty is pretty incredible.
And it doesn't feel like you're hurting it at all. That's the other thing. It feels like I could do so much more than that.
Yeah. I think the dunes are going to be a perfect example. We've seen this thing jumping out at the sand dunes perfectly stock. And no problems. Thank goodness for Stellantis for still putting money into things like this. Toss in more V8s, man. Pacifica Hellcat, where's it at?
Peugeot Hellcat.
Peugeot Hellcat.
Oh my gosh, it's so lucky.
You know, I think you actually got the top a little bit cleaner, but maybe that's just because it's soaking wet. Awesome. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to Ram for giving us some time in the TRX. Thanks to Nathan for coming along, helping on the review. Be sure to check the links in the description if you want to see more TRX action, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always,
drive on.